Holy hell. What a wild, wild, wild damn weekend. From celebrating Independence Day, the 4th of July, to the tragic ass floods heading on down south. That's some crazy shit watching all that go on. Me and Scott, my little brother, almost jumped in the trucks, went down to help out until we saw all the warnings say, don't come down yet and bring volunteers. Get things get scattered out. So we still may make a trek down there, but God bless, what a crazy ass weekend. I don't watch the news, but I've been keeping up with TikTok and the likes there. So, but how was y'all's weekend, excluding all that craziness?
It was good. I had a great weekend. Ultimately, I'll share a little bit more later in the mustache moment. But yeah, it was a fun weekend. It was good getting to hang out with the family, barbecue, all the good stuff.
Well, I know I was supposed to go live in Circle on Friday, but I hung out with my nieces and nephews and tried to keep up with them. So yeah, when 8 o'clock came around, I said, fuck it, went right back to bed.
I heard a little bit about that story, Donnie.
Oh, it was all of a sudden, is he my nephew-in-law now, Jonathan? I don't know what you call him. But he, one of my other nieces brought her boyfriend around, and he decided it was time to initiate him. So the drinking ensued. And when I say drinking, it's because they drank everything under the sun. It wasn't drinking at that point; it was drinking. And let's just say the boyfriend was initiated well. I won't go into all the details of what happened, but it worked. It worked really, really, really well. So, but other than the dogs having anxiety over fireworks, we were pretty low key for most of the weekend.
I mean, we were low key too, because the rain came in, and so we were going to go up to the park and watch all the fireworks, and then all the rain came in, and we're like, no, we're not doing that.
Well, and then they canceled it too. They canceled it, and then the rain didn't really come in, so they canceled it. I wasn't going to go up there anyways, but.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go up there, but we just stayed at the house and shot off some small fireworks and watched all our neighbors shoot them off. That's the best thing about living out in the country.
Oh yeah,
everyone's going to show for you.
Yeah, you're going to see 20 or 40 shows all around you, not have to spend a dime and sit on your own lawn and drink. Yep. So, Peyton, what was it like in the Moab? Did y'all do anything over there?
Yeah, it's pretty dry, but the city of Moab puts on their own show, and you listen to the music that they shoot the fireworks off to over the radio. That's cool. And so as the radio is like the announcer's talking, and here comes the big finale, you see all the fireworks off in the distance, and it's really cool. And then they play like the national anthem over the radio, so everybody's on the same page. It was really cool.
I've only seen one or two shows done that way.
Yeah, during the day we actually got the dogs out and around, and we had a parade in Moab that we were a part of, and the dogs did really well. And then nighttime
you were in a parade?
You were part of the parade?
We were a part of the parade because we're this is kind of a tourist town. And so the RV resorts are kind of big news for them. They bring in a lot of people to stay there, and so we help send them to all of the local spots to spend money. And so they invited us to be a part of the parade. And so I was on a float. I was on a golf cart throwing candy at kids. Only hit a couple of them, which was really good.
Not candy to kids, candy at kids. Got it.
Bam! Right in the dome. Boink! Yeah.
Donnie was dressed up. Weren't you dressed up as Yoshi?
Yoshi, yeah. So for my friend's niece, they were doing cheerleading stuff, and they had this whole gaming system theme. So my friend reached out and asked if I'd jump into the Mario part, and I went as Yoshi. So I just
to see him dressed up as
I did a big ass inflatable Yoshi walking through downtown Hazel. It was sexy as hell.
Is there photo evidence? Is
there
proof?
Yeah. Elizabeth went as Toad. I think Joe went as like Mario or Luigi. So it was fun. So it was good times. It's good times. All right, let's play a game.
Today we're going to play Guess the Movie off of a bad description.
Oh.
No.
So we're gonna see. I tried to do shitty descriptions, but sometimes they're like hard to give you enough to guess off of. So we're gonna see if these are too easy, and then I'll adjust for the future. Dad goes on a journey to find his son, makes a friend with memory issues.
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, Finding Nemo.
I was totally stumped.
Okay, I'm glad I got Donnie. So I need to make them harder for everyone else, but easier for Donnie. This is gonna be difficult.
Can you put like half the name in the title?
No. Vacation goes sideways when
Jurassic
a theme park
Park.
visits
Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Ah, eat them apples.
Yeah. A guy really wants to return this ring someone lost.
It's the Lord of the Rings.
It's one of the rings. I was like, that's too
That's
easy.
bad.
It's really funny.
He must return.
Yeah. It was too easy, but it was really funny, so I had to put it in there anyways.
God, that was
Talking tree.
2001.
Yeah, it was 2001.
Oh.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians.
Save the Galaxy with music. I thought was really good. Vin Diesel. I think he's Groot, which
Yep.
kind of
Yes.
blew my mind. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah, he got paid a
Uh-uh.
ridiculous amount of money just to say I am
One
Groot.
line.
Yeah. All he says throughout the entire thing, and he got paid a shit ton.
Man goes on epic revenge mission because someone killed his dog.
Fucking
John Wick.
not Matrix, John Wick, not
John
Matrix.
Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I looked up cast. It was like Keanu Reeves and then like 2 other people. No, it's just the whole movie. It's just Keanu
Then
Reeves.
random dead guys.
Yeah, exactly. Man discovers his entire life has been a very elaborate TV show.
The Truman Show.
Truman.
Truman Show, yeah. 98. And it was considered comedy sci-fi, which I thought was interesting as well.
Kind of a sci-fi.
Yeah, like I could see it.
Just so you know, Vin Diesel made $54 million
Oh my
ridiculous.
god.
One line.
for saying I am Groot.
The Matrix.
Man hates his job, learns reality is fake, and immediately becomes the chosen one.
Chosen one. Yeah, it's Matrix.
It's the Matrix. I think the chosen one gives it away. All right.
I think if you would have left it at that first line, it might have been more of a struggle.
Did you guys see the most recent one? It was not good.
No,
No, I have not.
no.
Well,
I gave up on the Matrix.
Yeah, I thought the first 2 were really good. The third one was I could have left it. And the last one, I was like, I wish I could get an hour and a half back of my time. It was.
The first one was really kind of mind blowing. It really made you think, you know, about reality and whatnot. But it just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like that's how all movies go as they keep making more and more of them. They just
I mean,
like, what are they on?
Get
Fast,
better.
Fast and Furious
Yeah.
26?
Yeah, something like that. But like, you know, the Marvel movies, there's so much content that they can do that. But a lot of these movies that are just constant continuations, Fast and Furious, like,
Well, the Vin Diesel did come out and saying they're going to do finally fast finale.
okay.
So I don't know if this is episode 912, but when a submarine takes out a freaking car, I mean, I'm suspending all reality and belief. I'm going to watch any more of those movies.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
why cars are in Antarctica racing a submarine makes all the, it's like watching Grey's Anatomy when the 747 crashes into the earthquake and the flowing lava erupts and now they need medical attention. So, shit's crazy. Let's do an interview. Kick it over.
This is James Hignett, cost reduction specialist with Schooley Mitchell. Uncovering hidden inefficiencies, reducing expenses, and improving vendor management, all without changing vendors or disrupting operations. It's all about helping business leaders gain clarity, boost profitability, and take back control of their bottom line. And today, James gets the hot seat with the Success Champions team.
James, how the heck are you, my friend? Friggin', you haven't been with SEN long. We haven't known you very long, but dude, you have dove all the way in. showing up at all the trainings, all the meetings, doing all the things. So it's been really cool getting to know you. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and then how can we help?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, been about 2 months, I guess, coming up to in SEN in the Austin chapter. So yeah, from the UK originally, got a background in tennis, which brought me to the States, but been over about 14 years. My mom's
Wait,
worst
tennis brought you
nightmare.
to the States?
Tennis. I played college tennis for the University of New Mexico, and then did kind of college coaching, and then got into facility management. And then I've been out of that now for 3 months. Been full time with School of Mitchell. I've been doing it on the side for a couple of years, but full time in my business for 3 months. But yeah, so my mom's worst nightmare. I met a beautiful American girl and stayed out. 2 little American kids in an American house, and so. But yeah, no, it's been good. So I've really been enjoying SEN and everything it has to offer. Just like I think it was last Tuesday, learning from Sean there. So excited to learn more later today. But yeah, it's been great.
No, don't pop up his ego. It's already big enough.
I will. I know that you'll bring it down. I can bring it up a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm an equal opportunity asshole, and I will chop you at the knees. James, how can we help you today? What can we do to help you get your business rocking and rolling?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, looking for help on kind of dealing with bigger clients. We can go as a business, when we say we specialize up to about 100 million in top line revenue, but we can go above that. I've been fortunate enough to meet a few of those people, and I got connected with a few of those on LinkedIn, those CEOs, those C-suite people, those bigger companies, and just how to land the meeting, how to get more prospects, more meetings with those high level. We have a great product. I feel I can definitely get better at selling that product when I'm in front of them, but I need more opportunities to actually be in front of them to practice that. So it's those,
Interesting. Why the bigger ones?
Because we can have such a big impact. Our product scales really well for a bigger company. So we can talk about, I met with a business, and I conservatively estimated we can add $500,000 to their EBITDA based on
what size company were they?
They're about 750 million.
Okay.
So that's my biggest one. I got a meeting tomorrow.
So 750 million is 500,000 EBITDA a lot for them?
It's not massive, but they're a public company. It's something, and that's a conservative estimate after we've been paid, which is going to stick for that's for 1 year. That's 3 years, at least worth of that. Potentially, it's multiple million on the EBITDA line that we don't know, but a conservative estimate is, I think, 500,000. So it's so little time investment from them, which is where it's. There's other things they can be doing to increase profits and things like that. Absolutely, they should be doing that. That's what they specialize in. Our company is about doing the stuff they don't specialize in and taking time savings as well. So,
how long is the sales cycle going to be for a company of that size?
It depends on the makeup of where they're. So this company owns a bunch of a lot of hotels. It's going to be maybe 6 months in total.
Cool. And then how long is the sales cycle from a smaller client?
Month and a half, 2 months.
So I would estimate that 6 months is wishful thinking, because there's a lot more bureaucracy and red tape the bigger you go, and a lot more hoops you got to jump through.
Yeah, based on the conversation we just had on how we'll probably go, it will probably be 6 months per category that we look at, starting initially with, again, one category.
One vertical.
Their waste category, for example, is I think where we're going to start. So,
how did you originally get into this conversation?
I met a gentleman through the tennis club I worked at who has a business. We talked, he connected me kind of via email, and then with the CEO of the company. I spoke on the phone with the CEO, brought me in, met with him and one of his VPs in person, and had a great conversation. Had a a second one recently and having hopefully a third one tomorrow. So
you've already had a meeting with the CEO of the Fortune 5?
Yes, they're not. I don't think they're Fortune 5, but they are public.
Publicly traded. Got it. And you're 3 months into selling this, really?
Yes.
Well done. That's a pretty spectacular feat to get into a company that size in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I appreciate it.
The person who introduced you at the tennis, what do they do?
They have a business where they helped build loyalty rewards programs for hotels. They're now doing the same things for basically like property managers for apartment complexes and things like that. So renters will get points for paying rent on time, kind of like, so that's what he has now.
And do you have any idea how many clients he has equivalent to the one he just introduced you to?
No.
So,
I think he has some good connections, but yeah, I'm
right.
not certain. Yeah.
Cool. How have you said thank you?
Right now, I've just kept him updated via email on the progress of where we are at. I have not yet. I was planning to adjust the thank you depending on whether I landed, as it could be a massive major thank you, or didn't quite work out, but
what's amazing to me is how many times people don't thank the introduction versus the outcome.
Yeah.
Like, this potentially is a monster deal for you, for your company, and the likes. The mere fact that they made the introduction in the first place is huge. And I think oftentimes we get caught up in the outcomes versus the activity. So, in my head, it's how can I return the favor instantly to the person? Is there somebody else I know that is targeting a ton of hotels that I can introduce them to? Like, could you introduce him to Kristen Schmack, which comes to mind, the Hotel Whisperer? Could she open up a bunch of doors for them and the likes? So think about what you could do now as a thank you for bringing your name up in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how many other people in the tennis club are similar in nature to him?
There's a few. I've been to most of the guys I know. I've been getting around and taking them out for lunch and coffee and meeting, and finding out what I'm doing now, and kind of picking their brains on most of them more experienced to be members of that club, and how I can help their business. I actually start with this gentleman who introduced me. I gave him a pretty good contact to a guy I know who owns a bunch of apartment units and things like that. So I think that helped. Obviously, kind of kicked off that relationship there of introduced them to an acquaintance of mine. So I've been trying to get around and do that to a lot of these guys of who do you know. It's worked a little bit. It hasn't worked quite as well as I was, haven't got as many good introductions as I was hoping for. But
how many were you expecting?
Hopefully one from everyone.
And how many people have you met with?
10, maybe. 9,
and how many have you gotten?
Legitimate, probably just this one big one for the hotel.
1 for 10. That's a freaking pretty good batting average, kid. That's a pretty good batting average. Because the fact that you got that far is pretty phenomenal. So, of the 10, have you thought about bringing them all together, doing a happy hour?
Yes, I've been kind of thinking about how to, get that. I was actually at a happy hour recently with a lot of these guys that wasn't set up by me, but just kind of a different one. Not specifically just these guys, but yeah, that again in the tennis community is pretty small, so kind of getting together with these guys every so often.
Are you wanting to narrow down into the hotel and apartment space?
Not especially. I've got another potential client that owns 2 hotels. I'm happy to. I'm definitely thinking this is going to be a vertical I'm going to be attacking, but not exclusively.
What hotel associations are you hanging out with?
None currently.
what apartment associations are you hanging out with, or property management associations are you hanging out with?
None
Commercial
currently.
commercial real estate investment.
Mm-hmm.
And roofers love apartments.
Yeah. I think people forget that, one, there's an association for freaking everything.
Yeah.
You think about it, you throw a pebble, you're going to hit an association. But two, a lot of times when Jess said roofers, first thing I thought about is let's go join the roofers association, get to know them, because they're the ones that have all the relationships with the commercial properties because they're doing all the damn roofs. How do we go join associations that are filled for our referral partners? So,
And those roofers also have a connection to all the facility managers because, and that is your background. So you know their language already. So it's an easy in for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And along those lines, of the 10 you already met with, how many doors have you opened for those 10?
Not too many, a few, but yeah, probably not enough.
And this isn't me throwing shade at you. This is a lot of people do this. They have expectations of people doing things for them when they haven't made the move first to open doors, to make introductions, to kind of grease the wheels, mafia style, if you will. Let me show you what I'm looking for out of this relationship by getting you connected to the people you need to be connected to. And when we sit across certain types of people that have spent some time building an empire, building a company and the likes, they're so used to people unintentionally coming to them with their hand out. Once again, I'm not saying you came to them with your hand out, but if we don't make the move to show them how we want this relationship to work, it can come across as we're just looking for a handout.
Also, I'd look at your sales conversations. How can you integrate these? Because a rewards program that aligns very well with what you do with Schooling Mitchell, putting money back into the company. So how can you bring that conversation up when you're talking to people? Say you get into that conversation, they don't need your services right now. How do you bring that reward program conversation up and try to get him back to the other person? Oftentimes we can pass our leads to another person. And so when that lead is ready for us, they're able to push them back us. And so we're keeping them in our hemisphere of sales in our conversations to keep us top in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And James, from a networking perspective, obviously you've got the tennis side of it. You said you haven't really been in SCN very long, but have you gone through and really identified who your referral partners are, who your synergy triangle is? Have you gone down, I'll say that rabbit hole yet?
I have, with kind of just as a whole of Schooling Mitchell, kind of our business as a whole, and then one vertical. The thing I haven't done is taken every area that we do. I kind of, Jess helped me go through this with shipping as a vertical of just this category in isolating. I haven't gone every category that we could possibly do, and basically have 19 different synergy triangles for the 19 categories that we can look at.
Yeah.
I haven't gone that in depth with it yet. Right now, just kind of going more big picture with the generic for us. Accounting firms, fractional CFOs are the main ones.
Yeah, it will definitely help you to continue to dial that in as far as the conversations that you're having, the people that you're getting introduced to. But to Donnie's point earlier, right, with the people that you do have a relationship with already, these, folks in the tennis association, you got to continue to cultivate those. And you've got to be a giver as well, right? Because if they don't really know you well, if they don't really know what you do, if you're not thinking of them, they're probably not going to think of you.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we are going to change up the segments and stuff a little bit. So hopefully that was a little bit helpful for you, James. We're going to be bringing in some more segments and stuff. So we'll come back to you again, kind of get some takeaways and stuff for you at the end. But Peyton, let's kick it over to Mustache Moments.
Crashing through walls, no more boring Zoom. Flexing his stash, making Glenn go boom. Twisting up tips with a heart and flair. This business hero's mustache is everywhere. His boat has bristled here to win. Watch out world, let's begin. It's mustache moments shining bright, sparking joy with pure delight. Mustache moments take the stage, turning every single page.
That is fucking awesome, Peyton.
Oh, that's too funny. So, yeah, Bernie, over to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. So, for probably the last year and a half ish, I've been doing a weekly video segment on, my LinkedIn page called Mustache Moments, where I share a tip or an idea, a thought, funny anecdote, something to engage with my audience. Sometimes it's, tips and advice. So for the first one on the live podcast here, I want to talk a little bit about the victim mentality. I'll share a little bit of a story from over the weekend. So last week, obviously was a holiday week. And for my business, it was actually one of the best weeks of the year that we've had so far. Got a little over $20,000 in receivables came in. So it was a really, really good week from that perspective. I shared, probably close to a year ago in one of those Mustache Moments videos that, on the side, I've been driving Uber for a bit, right? Make a little bit of extra cash on the side. So last week I decided I was going to take most of the week off for the 4th of July, right? Just to spend some time with the family and relax a little bit. Still have the intention of doing a little bit of driving throughout the course of the weekend. So I go out and I drive on Thursday morning, right? Which was the 3rd, took a few rides, and then I picked up what was actually going to end up being my last ride for the weekend. It was 2 teenage girls. They were heading to a hair salon. I picked them up on the west side of Detroit. I was going to take them over to the east side of Detroit. So I'm, cruising down I-96, heading eastbound. It's a 4-lane highway, fork in the road, right? Just go veer left to go to this freeway, stay to the right. You get on I-94, which is where I was heading. So I'm in the second lane from the right. I pass another driver in the right lane. And then all of a sudden, boom, car next to me veers over into my lane as I'm passing, side swipes my car. I'll actually show you a quick picture here while I've got it. I don't think I've ever presented my screen in here. Window. Boom. Right, so not a lot of damage, really, right? But just kind of the front end, really superficial, kind of cosmetic. Not a huge deal at the end of the day, right? But obviously, once you get into a car accident with Uber, they don't allow you to drive anymore, right? You got to report it. So after they hit me, I started to swerve a little bit, got a little bit squirrely, got the car figured out, slowed down, pulled over to the side. I look up, and this car just kept going. They didn't stop, or I didn't think they were going to stop anyway. So again, got the car under control. I dialed 911. Started to make the report and told them, they were leaving the scene of the accident. And then I got really pissed off and I was like, fuck this. So I stepped on the gas and I started to tail them. I wanted to get their license plate number. So after a few minutes talking with the 911 operator, she's like, okay, you don't want to follow them in case, something happens. Just, you got the license plate number, pull over, we'll get an officer there. So they ended up getting off the freeway. I followed them to that exit. They finally stopped. And the other driver was a young mom. She had her 2-year-old daughter in the car. They didn't speak any English. So, I kind of understood why she didn't stop immediately there on the side of the road. Cops showed up, frankly, in record time for Detroit Police Department. It was within like 3 to 5 minutes, filed the report, and then, we went on our way. So after the adrenaline wore off, what naturally happens to people when shit kind of hits the fan, right? The victim mentality started to show up for me. I was like, fuck, man, these 6 little words. Why is this happening to me? I just had a great week. I'm going into a holiday weekend. What the hell's going on? Started thinking about the money I was not going to earn over the weekend. I thought about the repairs I'm going to have to do on the car. And again, with the car being down, then I wouldn't be able to earn any more after that. Had to wait for Uber to get me reapproved, all of that stuff. Plus, I've got another car that's down right now. So it's like the world felt like it was, closing in on me. So I got home, filed the claim through Uber with my insurance. Uber's insurance calls me and tells me it gets worse, that my personal insurance probably isn't going to cover the collision because I was driving rideshare. And unless you have a special, rider on the policy, they don't cover it. So Uber's policy is a $500 deductible to fix the damage that I showed you guys, right? Regardless of what the estimate is, $2,500, then they cover the rest. But they have an option where they will pay you a reduced payout to fix the car minus whatever the deductible is. So I was like, okay, that's not terrible. So then as I'm sitting here at home, I stop and I look down, I got a blank note page next to me, and I ask myself the question, not why is this happening to me, but why is this happening for me, right? And I wrote down a short list of the reasons why this could have happened. And it came down to 3 things, right? It's time for me to get off the fucking road. I've got to stop using Uber as a crutch to fill the blanks. It's really time for me to move Insignia forward. I have some opportunities in front of me that if I don't capitalize on them, I should shut everything down right now. And I've said I wanted to spend more time with my family. And because of that accident, I was able to do that this weekend. Spend all of Thursday, all of Friday, all of Saturday with my family at the pool, barbecuing, fireworks, having beers. We had an awesome time. It was fantastic. Again, the damage to the car was only cosmetic. I wasn't hurt. My passengers weren't hurt. Lady in the other car wasn't hurt. Then I got a message from Uber. They actually approved me to get back on the ride without even fixing the damage on the car, because again, it's only cosmetic. And so, what started as, kind of, oh shit, my world is collapsing, actually ended up being a really good thing for me, for my family. Still have some financial things I got to figure out, getting the car fixed, all of that. But it was an amazing weekend getting to just spend time with the family. So the mustache moment is that shit is going to happen. Murphy's Law says it's going to happen at the worst possible time. And you can be the victim. You can ask, why is this happening to me? Or you can own your situation and ask, why is it happening for me? What can you take away from it, change, and get better at? So I know I think I had like 10 minutes, but up to you guys, what kind of shit storms have you been through that you're like, fuck, my world is collapsing, but it actually ended up being a win or something really cool?
Shit, I think you just described my entire life. It's really hard in that moment when everything's going south to try and get yourself out of that victim mindset. It's really easy to get to that, oh, woe is me. Yeah. Fuck, why is this happening to me? So freaking good on you. I hope you continue to bring this memory up as you move forward, especially when shit gets hard. And I like the fact that you recognize it as a crutch, because a lot of people don't understand that they're just paying the bills, so they keep doing the thing versus going and getting into the fire and getting after it. That's well done, bud. Well done. Thank you. Anything anybody else want to add to that?
I think my experience was actually when I was back in the ad agency. The last ad agency I was with was because I was part of a merger and acquisition. There was all this stuff that was going on. Like we merged. They didn't tell we were going to take a pay cut. When we did the merge, all this stuff happened, and I ended up staying just because I was still new in the agency world. I didn't have the tenure to move around. Everyone else left, but because I stayed, I learned so much on how to run an agency and was able to break off on my own and build the agency I have today. So
that's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Well, Peyton, let's get ready to kick it over to the educational moment, my friend. So we started doing something really unique inside of SEN. We do a lot of training every Tuesday and Thursday, and for this month, we've been bringing in a lot of the sales trainers, sales educators, CROs, fractional sales people to come in and teach some really cool concepts. Well, last week, Sean knocked it out of the park with his training. And so I asked him if he'd come here, hang out with us, introduce himself, and kind of walk us through what he was teaching SEN last week. So, Sean, welcome to the stage, bud. Introduce yourself, and then let's have some fun, teach you something.
I am Sean Shannon. I am a fractional sales leader. Spent, let's see, I'm opening my file. I spent 34 years in the broadcast business selling radio. The most intangible product you can imagine. It's air. We're selling air. And I'm looking right now for my.
It reminds me of Spaceballs with the canned air. Perrier.
Yes. Do you see they're making a Spaceballs too?
Yes, I'm so stoked.
I'm just glad
gonna play.
Mel,
what's his name? The Yoda character.
Yeah. My I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. I'm glad that Mel Brooks is still around to be able to be the one that pulls it off, because only he can pull that off.
Yeah, great.
So I was the fix-it guy in the radio business. Got a sales team that's not working. They bring me in, give me 18 months, 2 years, and I turn around. And one of the biggest problems that I saw consistently was that salespeople were not managing their pipeline very well. And I came across this concept called the 3 V's. It's volume, velocity, and veracity. Volume is you don't have enough prospects. You are vastly underestimating the number of people you need to talk to. We were talking with James this morning, and he's coming into that right now. That it's going to take more than 10 connections to get where he wants to go. Velocity is that you're not moving the needle for your clients by pushing them through the pipeline fast enough. And the last thing is veracity. Are you scratching the right itch? So let's talk about volume and the law of large numbers. In 1713, there was a Swiss mathematician, Jacob Bernoulli, and he came up with what we now know as the classic bell curve, right? That if you have enough numbers in a set, you're going to find a classic distribution, right? French mathematician Emile Borel took it one step further, and it essentially proved with the mathematical theorem that if you have enough trials in an experiment, things are going to return to the mean. I mean, if you think of a coin flip, it's a 50-50 chance that it's going to be heads or tails. But if you flip the coin only 10 times, you may end up with a distribution of seven heads and 3 tails. But if you flip it 1,000 times, you're going to find yourself back at that 50-50. And that's the law of large numbers. And in B2B sales, we find that there's some pretty predictable patterns. For every 100 times that you attempt to contact a prospective client, you're going to reach them about 10% of the time. And for every time you connect with a prospect, about a quarter of the time, they're going to agree to meet with you. So for every client you meet with, maybe you've got a closing ratio of about 40 to 50%. And so, Donnie, for those not good at math, 100 attempts nets you 10 connects, which nets you 2.5 appointments, which is going to net you about 1 client. So this is the law of 100 to 1. And it does not matter what industry you're in. If you're selling B2B, you're going to see these numbers play out. And so if you don't believe me, you can do backwards math. And I will share a file with everybody. It's an Excel spreadsheet that will walk you through how much do you want to make, what's your average sale, tells you how many clients that you need, what's your closing ratio when you have a chance to present in front of them, and it walks it all the way back. And we did it on Donnie on last Thursday. Was it?
Yeah, Tuesday.
What did we end up finding out for your sales team? You had 4 salespeople.
Oh, dude, the numbers to actually hit what our projections were just astronomical. Like what we were forecasting out of the outbound activities we'd have to do based on these numbers to get where we want to go. Absolutely insane, the volume of reach outs and things that they were going to have to do.
Into the thousands per year.
Yeah. Like not even the tens of thousands, like the 40 of thousands per individual. I mean, it was astronomically high.
Yes. So let's talk about velocity. So frequency sells, and this gets after the idea that you are working against business gravity. This is a screenshot from one 20-minute span of time of my inbox. The average business owner receives about 150 external emails a day, which doesn't include all of the stuff that's going on inside their business. 81% of calls from unknown numbers go unanswered. And 18% of voicemail messages from unknown listeners, unknown numbers are listened to. And this is the one that kills me. Only a third of voicemails from known business contacts are listened to. LinkedIn is a little better. 61% of users log on daily. Their average session's about 7 minutes. But in the response rate, in classic direct response, if you have a 2% response rate, you're doing really well. In LinkedIn, it's 18%. But there's a reason why it's so hard to make a contact, because you got to find a person with these three things going for them. They're open to new ideas, they're dissatisfied with the current situation, and they have the power to make a decision. Right. And there's a classic piece of psychology at play here that's going to make it impossible to find all three of these things. And that is that if you have the power to make a decision, you are by definition not going to be dissatisfied with the current situation. Bernie, do you have a sense of why that would be?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you're the person who has the power, you're probably going to be looking for better ways to do it. Like that's part of your perspective.
Yeah, but if you are the person who made the decision, you are by definition not going to be dissatisfied with it, because to be dissatisfied with it, you'd have to admit that you were
wrong.
And psychologically, we cannot be made wrong. If we are made wrong in a conversation, you can take yourself back to the last argument you had with your significant other, right? It's a fight or flight response. You're either going to leave the conversation or you're going to fight against that. We just can't be wrong. And so what we find is that to find somebody who has the power to make a decision, who is dissatisfied with the current situation, either we've got to have a change in the decision maker, or the circumstances inside which that decision was made need to be so significantly changing that they can blame it on the situation. So we found, classically, it was about 10 to 15% of the time the situation had changed so substantially. But with disruption occurring at an ever faster rate, we've been finding it's closer to 30 to 35% of it of the time. But if you think about it this way, you need to really find a sales cadence. At the point at which you think that you have completely annoyed a contact, you've just gotten onto the radar. SalesLoft, tens of thousands of sales outreach campaigns with thousands of companies, from startups to Fortune 500 companies. And this is what they found in B2B sales, is that it takes about 17 outreaches over a 3-week span of time to get an initial meeting. Now, the outreaches need to be varied. So it can be an email, it can be a LinkedIn look or a connect, it can be an in-mail, it can be a voicemail, it can be a video-enabled email or a text message, or even an old-fashioned stop by. But that, as we were selling radio campaigns, we would tell our advertisers that the minute you're getting sick of your radio message, you've probably just started to make an impact on listeners. Frequency sells. So in the frequency has to be done in a compressed period of time. So if you're the one salesperson, so think about it this way: most salespeople will ping a client once, maybe twice a week. And what happens to that email, that voicemail? It's delete, delete, delete. But if you're that one person who is calling a client and saying, I'm going to be sending you an email with some information, and then you send the email, and then you connect with them on LinkedIn and follow it up with another voicemail, you're going to be that one person that they finally say, either come see me or go the hell away, right? So we found that it's best practice to platoon your prospects and campaigns. In other words, take a group of 25 or 30 clients, run the outreach on them for 3 weeks, then rest them for 60 to 90 days, and come back against them, because what you're looking for is that change in decision maker or that change in the situation. And so you run 3 or 4 campaigns with these prospects every year, and you end up playing the law of averages. And then lastly, veracity, which is the idea that you've got to be providing something of value. Peter Drucker is famous for saying that the vast majority of businesses have no idea what their customers are buying. They know what they're selling them, but they don't know what's motivating the purchase. Clayton Christensen, another Harvard business professor, came up with this idea of jobs theory, which is that we don't necessarily buy products or services as much as we hire them to do very specific jobs in our lives. And if we can untangle the job that a customer or a client is hiring us to do for them, we have unlocked marketing, we have unlocked innovation, we've unlocked operations, right? So what job is your prospect trying to get done in their lives that has them saying, I need to talk to you? And so you start with their anticipated point of pain and you begin to craft your message. So it's taken a 180 on your business. As opposed to looking at your business from the inside out, go out and take a look at it from the outside in. So I worked with a fractional HR person who was just starting up her practice. And she thought she was selling her clients' HR services like hiring and onboarding and benefits. But what we came to understand was that the client was actually, they were hiring a firefighter. They had a dumpster fire of compliance documentation. Or they had an employee that was, a potential harassment lawsuit waiting to happen, and they needed a diplomat. Or, quite frankly, they needed an insurance policy against their next discrimination lawsuit. Worked with a business coach, thought he was selling coaching advice, but what his prospective clients were actually buying were, the first step in a succession plan, or they're looking to get out of a bad situation, looking for a new job, or just looking for a full night's sleep. So it's the difference between what you're selling and what the customer is buying. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that every time you get a client on the phone, you've actually made a connection with them. You're in a wrestling match, right? You're trying to wrestle that prospect into an appointment, to a discovery call. They're trying to wrestle you off the phone. So every word really counts, because it's either a reason for them to take the appointment or it's a potential objection. So I call it the art of the specifically vague. You want to be specific on the problem that you're going to help them solve, and you want to be specific on the results you can deliver. You want to be specific on the amount of time you're asking. You want to be vague on the specifics of your solution. You're not selling the appointment. You're not selling the solution. You're selling the appointment. And every statement you make is a potential objection. You want to be vague on the names of clients that you reference, and you want to be vague on the costs, the costs involved, because you got to diagnose before you can prescribe. You don't know until you know. Give you an example of how the art of the specifically vague works. Is that I used this valid business reason, this VBR, with car dealers for the better part of 15 years. This is a campaign that we ran in 2010. And the call went something like this. Donnie, the reason for my call is we just completed a campaign with a client that was trying to incent test drives. Test drives are the single biggest indicator of somebody ready to make a purchase. You're not going to get into a car with a car dealer if you're not really thinking about buying it. So we recently completed a campaign with a dealer that was looking to incent test drives. We ran a campaign of short link messaging and an email outreach. The results of the campaign were 100 test drives over the course of a weekend, 23 vehicles sold that weekend, and a trailing 12 vehicles sold over the next 2 weeks. Can I come show you how we did it? So I was specific on what the dealer was trying to do, and I was specific about the results. What I didn't say was that it was Michael's Toyota in Bellevue, Toyota's largest dealer in the Pacific Northwest. I didn't tell them that we were using a Shell gas card as the bait to get people to come in and take a test drive, right? Because those were all potential objections. If I'm talking to a Ford dealer, they're going to tell me that Toyotas sell themselves. I'm talking to another Toyota dealer, they can tell me that Michael's Toyota is the biggest dealer, right? They're looking for reasons to wrestle me off the phone. So I want to be specific on what I'm trying to solve. I'm going to be specific on the results I deliver. I'm going to be specific about the amount of time I'm asking. So that is the art of the specifically vague. volume, velocity, veracity.
That's awesome, dude.
Like
Well
V for
done.
Vendetta.
V for Vendetta.
V for vendetta.
V for violence. I mean, are we just going to keep going down this path? That's pretty rad. You know, they always say it's a numbers game. I like the word velocity. I think it's a lot more telling when you think about sales overall and what it takes to actually be successful, especially in this day and age with short attention spans and you know, the TikTok world. It's crazy watching the studies come out to where, you know, top of mind used to be 30 days. You could be, you know, 30 days in between conversations. It's now 7, you know, to stay top of mind. It's just wild how fast we're moving with all of this. So it'll be really, really cool. So, James, coming back to you, my friend, we covered a whole lot with you today, threw some ideas and suggestions with you. I'm kind of curious if there's any takeaways from either Sean's training or from the advice we gave that you're going to use moving forward. What are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad Sean was on. I got to hear this on Tuesday. It's great to hear it again. The specifically vague was huge. I remember it was one of the first things I told my wife about right afterwards. Was just, you know, like this because I think I get too much into the specifics there. Definitely using that one. Other than that, yeah, you know, Jess's point on some of the, you know, those associations, you said the same thing. Giving back to those people who I wasn't really necessarily thinking were referral partners, but still giving back to them, those guys at the club and things like that, where I'm trying to pick their brain, you know, trying to do my best to give back there. And if it isn't in a business sense because they're just, you know, a high level underwriter, you know, one guy comes to mind there, but maybe it's on the tennis side. There's another way that I can give back there that can, you know, that can be, you know, a benefit to get more people. Yeah, appreciate the time.
Love it. Love it. That's awesome.
I would add, James, the phrase that has worked the best for me is, how can I be of service to you today? How can I be of service? What can I do for you?
I've also had a lot of luck with, you know, what's the biggest thing you're working on in your business right now? What that does is kind of give me insights to other people I might be able to introduce them to. So if they're working on a big project, oh, I have a friend that does that. Could I make an introduction somewhere along those lines? So, oh, cool, guys. Let's kick it over to upcoming events, workshops, trainings, things you may have coming down the pipes. Guests, if you guys have any workshops and things as well, please feel free to throw them out there. Jess, you got anything coming up in the near future?
Not at the moment. It's pretty quiet right now. I have a bunch of kids at home for summer vacation, so
that'll make it a little bit hard for sure. So, Bernie, you have anything coming up?
I do, yeah. I got Audience Alchemy next week on the 15th, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's my signature course, helping people to get on virtual stages.
Of that. James, Sean, you guys have anything coming up?
I'm like Jess. It's summer.
can I send my 3 kids to you?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, for us, on Tuesday, Tim Berry's coming in talking about plan, build, execute, how to hunt for new business that is open to the public. You can find that on successchampionnetworking.com. And then on Thursday, Camille Diaz is coming in talking about clients for life. So she'll be teaching that. That's also open to the public. You can find that on the Success Champion Networking page. And then, you know, we have always a ton of things going on. The biggest one by far is the Badass Business Summit coming to Fort Worth, September 17th through the 19th. Geez, I forgot my own dates. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And Jess, if I'm right, tickets go up, right, this week on the 11th?
Early bird ends on Friday.
Yep. So early bird special will end. So if you're planning on coming and haven't got your tickets, move fast and get them now. We will sell out this year. So really looking forward to all the networking and things that will have and happen there. So thank you for getting those up, P. So you guys are going to see some more changes, some more cool things coming down from the lives, making a lot more interactive polls, segment sessions. Seems like people liked Bernie's little commercial. I got a couple of DMs on that. So they didn't like his segment. They just liked his commercial. So if you guys, as always, if you have any suggestions of things we can do on the show, keep kicking it up, keep keeping you guys engaged and getting you guys more engaged. Would love that feedback. Otherwise, go have an amazing, awesome, badass, and phenomenal week. We'll see you here every Monday, 8 a.m. Central. Love you, mean it. See you, bye.